guys, welcome back to my channel. Raisa here with High Society Cane Corso. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. So if you've reached this video, you're already considering getting a Cane Corso puppy, and today's topic is going to be how do you pick the right breeder for you. So just to start off, there is no perfect breeder. There's just your perfect breeder. We're all people, everybody does things a little bit of a different way, but there are some main key topics that I feel like you should ask your breeder and research before choosing which one you're actually going to go with. Do they health test their dogs? I've seen a lot of people get, honestly, backyard bred Corsos, and they have a lot of issues. You don't really look into the health of the parents, and that's like a red flag. If you go look at puppies and they won't show you the male or the female dog and won't show you any of the other dogs, that can kind of be a red flag. But just do keep in mind that when a Corso mom does have puppies, the puppies really do drain them. So a lot of times they'll look really skinny, and that can be normal. They've been through a lot. It's just like ladies, it's just like us when we give birth, you know. It's a big process for the dog as well. So just keep that in mind, that if you go there and the mom is super skinny, that doesn't mean that she's unhealthy. It means that she just gave birth and she's had anywhere from I would say 5 to, sometimes I've seen litters of even 20 puppies feeding on, you know, one mama. Different types of health tests that you'll see that breeders do is like hips and elbows. Some people do eyes. That's a little bit more rare. They'll check the heart and things like that. You want to know that that's been done on both parents, because that just minimizes the risk to you and what can be genetically passed down to your puppy. Now, also another question to ask is, does the breeder do health guarantees? Some people do not. Some people do, and what I've seen is most of them are up to probably 2 years of age, and you have to read your contract. So number one huge thing is, if the breeder is trying to get you to sign, you go pick up the puppy and you sign the contract later, no, don't do that. You need to see the contract, that when you're picking up the puppy, you need to, for us, when people get puppies from us, we sit down and we go through each bullet point. Do you understand that these are the conditions? You sign off. We sign everything together. We go through it all together. You don't want to go with somebody that's trying to rush you through the process. That's a little bit sketchy. Before you go into really deciphering which breeder you want, look at all of their dogs that they have. Do you like that style of dog? As more obviously genetics, your dog's going to end up looking like that. Now with Corso, there are 2 main factions that go into it. There's the traditional American Corso, and then there's the European lines. Which one do you prefer? So the European lines tend to have more so of a boxer look, whereas the American ones have some Rottweiler, as they say, mixed in. There is a very different, distinct look to both of them, and neither one is right or wrong. You just need to pick which way you want to go and what's best for you and your family. Do their dogs look healthy? When you're seeing them in pictures, or you physically go there and see them, do the dogs look like they're well taken care of and healthy? The last thing that you want to do is be adding to supporting just some crappy breeder who doesn't take care of their dogs whatsoever at all. You really want to make sure that you're getting the best dog that you can get and that they're taking care of their dogs. You also need to ask the breeder things like, what do their contracts contain? So when you go into look into buying a dog, it kind of depends on what avenue you're trying to go. If you're trying to breed dogs yourself, you do need to be familiar with some of the contracts that people can do, either co-owning. A lot of times people will do breeding rights with pup back deals. So you need to ask them all those questions and research different types of things of what can come up. You want to be a little bit more knowledgeable going into looking for your puppy. And also, if you're starting a breeding program, you need to know what direction ultimately do you want to go with your dogs. Do you want more of a show dog? Do you want to focus your kennel strictly on working temperaments in a working line? Those are all going to affect your choice of what breeder you go with. There are some breeders who solely focus on working temperament. They really don't care too much for structure. But even with that, I would be a little bit concerned, just because the structure of a dog really does add to the overall health of your dog. If the dog has poor rear angulation or poor structure in general, that can cause stress on certain joints. And with them being such large breed dogs, you kind of want to go with something that has a balance. And there are breeders out there that focus on both. Not just one or the other. Also with contracts, if you're just wanting a pet in your home or companion home, does the contract make you spay or neuter the dog? A lot of them do. For example, us here at High Society, if you do get a pet or companion dog from us, we do ask that you spay or neuter the dog. They are sold on spay and neuter contracts, meaning that you do not have full breeding rights to the dog. When you get your dog, please do some research into the background of the lineage of the dogs. Certain lines are known to have certain things, certain ailments, and you just need to know what exactly you're purchasing. If somebody sold me, and know how to read a pedigree, whether or not you're getting a companion dog or, like I said, any of the other types, you need to study and know how to read a pedigree, because some dogs, they'll tell you, oh, it's $4,500 for a pet, a pet quality dog from them. But if you read the pedigree and you know that the dog's like really scatterbred and it's really not good dogs, and you've looked up the lines and there's some health issues on the line, to me personally, it's not worth spending that money. So if you know your lines, you know a little bit of what to look for, and always, you can ask breeders all these questions. We're always open to helping you make the best choice for you and your family. The last thing that we want is to send a dog home with somebody that ends up in the shelter or just not being a good fit. And that comes down to the temperament too. So anytime anybody asks me about an inquiry of a pet, my question to you is, what do you want the dog for? What are things you're going to be utilizing the dog for? Is this just going to be a family pet in your home? Do you have other plans for dog? You need to let your breeder know that, and also about your lifestyle. If you're somebody that's extremely active and you've had experience with dogs before, that means for the breeder that we can put a higher drive dog at home with you. I'm not going to place a higher drive dog with a family that has small children and that they have experience with dogs, but they're not very experienced with dogs either. Like, that's just not a good matchup. So you need to let your breeder know all of that. And while we do take color preference into account, you have to realize that, like, just because a litter is born and there's like 4 blue ones and everybody wants the blue ones, doesn't mean that that blue dog is the right fit for your family. Now, that may mean going with a different puppy from that litter, or moving or waiting until there's one that's right for you with that specific color that you're wanting. So when you choose a breeder, make sure you're choosing somebody that is thinking about all these variables. That way, like, you get the best match for you and your family. Don't be afraid to ask your breeder questions. We here at High Society, we love to meet y'all. We love to answer any questions you have. If your breeder is not open to answering questions, or they seem very standoffish, that's like a really big red flag. Like, why would you be that way? We're excited about our dogs. Like, we want to share our dogs with you. And like, somebody that's really discouraging from you seeing anything, the premises of where the dogs are kept, that is like a big no-no and a big red flag. Also, ask to see the pup's parent. That's another big thing, like, for us when we were looking. So especially when you're like wanting a dog with breeding rights, you can't just look at what that specific dog looks like. You need to look at their pedigree, and you also need to look at what the direct parents look like, because just like people, we can have a child and it inherits a trait from our grandparents or things like that. It's genetic. So know your stuff. Do some research on like what questions to ask. Also, there are so many blogs out there that give advice, and so many different Facebook groups that you can be a part of. And before choosing a puppy, because that is like a lifelong commitment for the dog, and like quite a long commitment for you also, you want to make sure that you're asking the right questions, and just don't be afraid to ask. Like, even you can ask another breeder, what are some things that I should be looking for? You kind of develop a rapport. Somebody ask them what they think you should be asking. Be aware that when choosing the right breeder for you, they may not have a litter at the moment. Don't walk into this and think like, I need a dog and I need a dog right now, because that's how you get yourself into some scary situations, or you end up with a pup that like isn't the right match for you. The best advice that I can give when looking for someone is find some dogs that you like from them, do your research, and be prepared to be patient. Like I said, sometimes it's the perfect dog and it looks great, but the temperament doesn't match you and your household. You don't want a nightmare situation, especially with Cane Corso. They take a lot of time and a lot of effort to really train them and keep up with consistent training with them, socialization. So you want to start off with the best match of a puppy as you can possibly start with from the beginning. I've also seen a lot of situations recently where, unfortunately, breeders have not been honest about if they even have the paperwork themselves. Even when we were looking to start our foundation line with our dogs here, we'd ask breeders, well, can I see the paperwork? And they'd say something like, oh, I don't show the paperwork because, people steal the information, which, okay, yes, does happen in some cases. But after you've had some rapport with that person, if they're still really holding off on like showing you anything, that can kind of be a red flag, because later finding out after we build rapport with this person, it came out that they actually didn't have the paperwork on any of their dogs either. A different breeder had it. So you really want to make sure that your breeder is organized, crossing their T's and dotting their I's, so that way you're not getting screwed in the end of it. If you get a puppy that's just a pet, for a companion in your home, a lot of breeders will not release the paperwork to you right away, just because they want to make sure you're fulfilling that spay and neuter contract terms in the contract that you get, and that's like not a red flag. That's something that a lot of breeders do. So don't be alarmed, but make sure that you do see the paperwork of the mom and the father, so you know for sure that the dog can be registered AKC. A lot of people that have ICCF still, and I'm seeing still in a lot of the blogs, are not aware that just being ICCF, you cannot do AKC anymore. They will not take the paperwork. So if somebody is telling you, oh, both my dogs are ICCF and neither have AKC paperwork, and they're trying to tell you that it can be an AKC dog, red flag. Like, you can't do that. Now, if the dog is an import dog, they need to make sure that they fill in their paperwork ahead of time. So like I said, you want to make sure your breeder is thorough, that they're detailed, that they know what they're doing also. Another thing in picking a breeder is, do you like the breeder? You don't want to have a relationship with somebody over the course of the life of your pet that y'all just don't get along. That's just not going to work out good. Your breeder is supposed to be there for lifetime support of you and the animal. So any questions you have, they should be there for you, answering the questions. If they don't have the answers, they should be trying to find the answers, like within reason. Like, don't message them like silly things that you can honestly find out yourself, but they should be willing to be helpful. That's just something that comes along with being a breeder, and if they're not, that's not something that you want to get your dog from. But let's talk about how to go and start a conversation with the breeder that you're interested in. So first things first, you want to write them a little introductory message. I always kind of like it when somebody kind of introduces themselves, like what they're about, like, it kind of helps us figure out like what exactly would fit you best. Because for us as the breeder, we want to know whether you've had any experience, what are the details kind of your home environment, like living situation. We want to know whether you're seeking a pet companion, a performance dog, or a show dog. All those things kind of change the contracts a little bit. So when you do request a copy of a contract, so you can kind of go over it and see what the breeder is wanting of you, it helps to tell the breeder and discuss with them what exactly you're wanting the dog for first. If you have kids, younger kids, try to find a breeder that has younger kids also, because a lot of times, like, we allow, like, my son is 18 months old. He's all over the puppies, like, he plays with them, So our dogs here are used to younger children. They know how to react and be around younger children. If you have a breeder that, like, never has kids and the dogs never come in contact with kids, then it's not really the same. So you want to find a breeder whose lifestyle is kind of more suited to yours also. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Until next time.